Well, good evening. Glad that y'all are with us tonight. This is our regular meeting for the month of April. Appreciate you being with us. In the beginning of our meetings, we'd like to open with a moment of silence, and we'll ask you to join with us, please. Just a moment of silence. Thank you. And pledge of allegiance, if you'll join us, I'll lead us. You'll hand salute, pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Dr. Thornton, we'll let you celebrate.
Well, I know you are aware of this, and you were at the celebration at Seneca High, but we did want to publicly recognize Seneca High School at a board meeting for their Palmetto's Finest
We need to have more people than just Mr. Roberts. He didn't do it by himself. He led it.
He didn't do it by himself, and I have to take part of the blame for this, for asking him to come up on a day that we didn't have school. It's kind of hard to motivate students and teachers and other administrators, kind of asking a lot when they're still officially on spring break until tomorrow morning about 7:30. So anyway, but Mr. Roberts is here, and if you'd like to just kind of come up and share and maybe, come on, don't act like I'm putting you on the spot.
Briefly, he can talk briefly.
He can, so just kind of maybe share the process and just, but I do want to say that Mr. Roberts has certainly persevered with this. You know, it's not an easy award to get, and they have done much work and brought a lot of recognition to the school district as well as Seneca High School. So we wanted to publicly thank him and give him a chance to maybe share his thoughts with the board for a minute.
Well, I always look forward to an opportunity to talk with you guys, as I've said before, but I really shouldn't be here by myself. I think the great thing about Palmetto's Finest is it's an award that everyone from the district level through the schools all the way throughout the community can take some ownership in, because you can't win this one in just certain areas. It's got to be an overall thing. It was a 3-year process. It's rarely a 1-year process, and it really helped us be reflective and kind of focus on some areas that we needed to improve and do some things differently. And I think one of the greatest things about it is now I'll get to serve on the committees and go and steal from others that are doing great things across the state. So there's some good perks that come with it. I tried to get Miss Leroy to come with me tonight as she spearheaded those efforts. And I think if you saw the article in the paper, it kind of outlined all the things that she had done to head this thing up over the past 3 years, and without her it would have not happened. So she did a wonderful job, and I couldn't be more blessed than to have the team that we have administratively and with faculty and staff at our school. And I think it just speaks to a lot of things. It speaks to the importance of consistency and stability, and it speaks to the importance of having a common mission and vision. If you were not able to come to the celebration, we're going to have one at the end of May. Some of the local businesses have been very gracious, and we're going to have some gifts for the students and celebrate. They're not aware of that yet, but we've got some things, some folks we want to recognize, and we would love for all of you guys to be a part of that, because it was not even a one Seneca effort. This was a district-wide thing for us, and the support that we were able to get each of those 3 years, whether it was from administration here or Richard's group coming in to help clean up each time we were going to have a visit and make sure things were looked good as far as the physical side of the building and grounds. It was just such a team effort, and I appreciate the support from you guys. I appreciate our students and our faculty for buying in, and the parents and all the stakeholders. So thank you for all that you do for us, and for keeping students in the middle of what you do. And unless you've got any questions, that's what I'd like to say is thank
Do
you
you have
for all
a
you
date
do.
for that celebration for them?
We do not have a date.
Okay, so we'll get it.
We're a little,
You can just make sure you include Ms. Gibson on that. She
We
can
will.
make sure they get notified.
yep,
Now,
absolutely.
if I could, if this is the first ever in the district?
High school.
No.
We've
High school,
had,
first high
um,
school.
Yeah, first
We've
high
had
school.
several elementaries and a middle school.
I think it's the first Oconee Pickens High School to win it. I think T.O. Hannon and Wren have won it in the past. Ravenel and maybe
James and Brown.
James and Brown.
And Walhalla Middle.
Walhalla Middle.
Yep.
Been a few, but been a long time since
Yeah.
we've had a.
We appreciate you going through that effort. I know the paperwork and the stress on the staff and all that. Some people just say, you know, let's just do our job and do the things we do and not seek that, because it's, you know, not necessarily about the recognition we do when we do our work every day. But I appreciate it, and I hope you'll encourage some of the others to do the same, because we've got a lot of good schools that are doing good things, and we'd like for you to be recognized. But congratulations again.
Thank you.
I was there for the yelling in the last year we jumped up and down, and because they said it's like that.
Yeah. St. James.
St. James or something. I had to sit back down.
So this
We
time it
didn't
came
have
out
to.
right.
It did, it did. If they started with an S this time, it was us. There's no fooling us, so. But thank you again.
Cliff, I
Yes,
would
sir.
just like to say, I personally thank you for going above and beyond what you had to do, you and your entire team. Thank you for making us look good.
Thank you. Yeah, as far as the paperwork and stuff, that's why I wanted Miss Leroy here. I'm not even gonna pretend to take credit for that.
Nice to have an
side of it.
assistant principal that's a former English teacher.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely, at all times. Thank you.
Thank you, Cliff. Appreciate you. Anything else? Okay. Next, if we could get a motion to approve tonight's agenda for the regular board meeting of April 17.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the agenda for the April 17th, 2017 regular board meeting agenda.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? It's unanimous. Public comment, anybody sign up? No one signed up? All right, then, next we have approval of the minutes. This is exhibit number 1 for March 13 and March 20 meetings.
Mr. Chairman, I move the minutes of the March 13th work session, March 20th regular meeting minutes be approved.
Second that.
Motion is second. Anybody see anything that needed addressing? Hearing none, then all in favor. That is also unanimous. And then action items, exhibit 2 is the Oakway easement.
Yeah,
You want
and
to touch
that's
on that again?
2 easements in one. We have, where we kept the little over an acre and a quarter out there for our shop and that. So we're working with the county to give them an easement for our drive and our way in case they need that down the road. And then they're granting us easement to the sewer line because we're still connected to that, and it runs through the middle of that, under the middle of that field that goes out there to the drain area and the property behind the fence. So it's just approving those. It's more a matter of doing it for the county's benefit to get it official for them on the books so they can go ahead and do their public hearings and things they have to do. So if we could get that approved, we would let them know and they can move forward with what they need to do.
And the official approval is to allow us to sign, or is it just?
Yes, to allow Dr. Thorson to sign on behalf of the school district.
Essentially empowering
Like we
me to
did
sign that
before.
document once the paperwork's completed to finalize those easements.
Any questions, comments? Anybody? We talked about this last week
Yeah,
at the work session.
this one's pretty,
If we get a motion then to approve the Oakway easement and allowing Dr. Thorson to sign the necessary paperwork.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the Oakway easement, allowing Dr. Thorson to sign the necessary paperwork.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, would also be unanimous. And then Exhibit 3 is the strategic plan.
Yes, and you have in your packet the assurances and the updated data, which again is indicating that we don't have data yet because it's too early in the planning session, but we do have to have that strategic plan into the state, our revision at this time. So it is reflecting that that data is still out there. We have not changed our goals, we have not changed our strategies, neither have the schools. All the schools are using the same goals and the same strategies. They are also in the same situation that we are in not having the data ready to go. The only real significant change in this, this form then is that we are asking for a waiver to include Kiowee Elementary as a school-wide Title I school as we bring them on board for Title I. And again, that's because we're estimated about 0.2 of a point off of hitting that mark.
Everybody else hit
Yes,
that level.
everybody else would be
except
school-wide.
Kiowee.
So that is the only substantial change to the plan from what we've approved a year ago, and that would be true for the school renewal plans as well. There are some changes in formatting to the reading portion of the plan that we're now required to include for Read to Succeed, but Lauren reviewed those carefully, and there's no significant changes in those from a year ago either.
Sure is a short little document, isn't it?
You know, but I keep it on my desk because we do, we reference it a good bit, and my team, as others do, we go back and we say, where are we going with this, and what are we supposed to be working on? So it's a working document for us. And again, we can also change it at any point during the year. It's not just a once-a-year thing. So when the data does come in, if it suggests that we need to make some changes, we'll bring those to you.
Is there any discussion with the state about changing when this is due to them? I mean, they've got to realize they haven't given us the data to
It's
make
in
decisions
it's in
on.
legislation, again,
It's in
the
legislation.
timelines for this, so they,
We might never get it.
Similar to our budget, we have to approve our budget before the value of a mill is established, so it's
Yeah.
Or we know how
kind of
much-
counterintuitive there too, but.
yeah, and it's kind of funny too, because they also have the Read to Succeed part of the plan due at a different time than the rest of the strategic plan, but legislation requires that we submit them together, so. Crazy timelines.
Somebody needs to address that. Maybe we can get Senator Alexander to do something.
It really should be fall.
I mean,
We should be
Really?
doing this in September,
After the
Yeah.
data comes in.
after we
and-
get the test scores and can evaluate
Doesn't make
where
a
we
bit
are.
of sense.
It doesn't.
But that, you know, again, the state would say you can revise them at any time. You do have to do it at least annually, so that's where we're at now. We will look at the data again as we bring that back to you. If we need to make changes to what our strategies are, we certainly will.
You mentioned that if they approve the waiver, all of our elementary schools will then be classed as Title I?
Would be school-wide. There's a
This-
difference in the kind of Title I school that you are.
Okay.
There's what's called a Title I targeted assistance school, and in that case, the school has to know specific children that, based on their socioeconomic status, who they are, and then the dollars can only be used for those students in the school.
So-
In school-wide, the idea is that you have so many students in the socioeconomic status of need that you can use the money for all students in the school. So it gives the school more flexibility.
So how will that affect, it will not increase our Title I funding?
No, it does not change the funding,
But
it
it will-
changes how we can use
How
the
you-
money.
Yeah, but there will still, I mean, it won't be shared equally, obviously, I mean.
No, there's some formula allocations that we
Yeah.
have to use for how we allocate that. And then, again, Mr. Hamby made some changes.
It is on a per pupil basis, and it's per student,
Right.
Yeah.
technically. I mean,
Yes.
students classified as poor, it's a per student allocation for those particular students. So there is, and as long as we keep the highest percentage schools at higher levels, it's not even the same dollar amount. So the three schools that have traditionally been Title I for us, Orchard Park, James M. Brown, and Blue Ridge, they get a significantly greater dollar amount per child than the other seven
Well,
schools.
that's what I was getting to, was
They
it
will.
gonna reduce?
They will.
Well,
What this allows us to do is, it allows our elementary principals to work together on some district initiatives and have a common funding stream. Now, each school still has to make their own plan up, but, for example, the Rosetta Stone is an option that can be added into Title I plans if the schools, and this gives a funding stream to make sure we can make that
Another
happen.
situation is
If
the
it's
summer reading.
school-wide, correct? If it's school-wide.
If it's
Yes.
district-wide, yes,
All
or
schools
school-wide.
and school-wide,
If it's
yes.
school-wide,
Both-
you use the
both
Rosetta
factors.
Stone.
correct.
The other situation is you're having now
They
just
could
fund,
only,
deal with the children that have been identified.
that's right.
And the issue that we're having,
That's
for
a
instance,
grouping
now is
concern
trying to schedule our summer school programs, because some of the schools can use their Title I funding to
summer
augment the summer reading camp money, and we need more. We don't have enough, the state doesn't give us enough summer reading camp money to run the summer school programs, fully. So the problem is now that we've got to sort through, if the students are coming from this Title I school, we can have some money for them, but if they're coming from a school that's not Title I right now, then we can't use funds for that. So it's just a crazy nightmare trying to keep that straight. And then, yes, and the other part is, and if they were targeted assistance school, then it could only be those specific children
Those
from
children
that
within
school
that classroom.
that could come to the summer reading program.
And-
So that's what we're looking for.
And to give money to the other 7 schools, it did reduce the allocation from the 3 traditional Title I schools. Mr. Hamby made some accommodations in his allocations for teachers to make up that difference.
But we gotta talk about that budget.
Yeah.
in a little bit.
We do.
So approve this first, and then you can come
They were in that budget that
Yeah.
you've been looking at.
Yeah, right, so. Any other question, comment?
So if the children are not going to be in a summer school program, we're gonna have to deal with grouping these students in the classroom?
Well, we have
that
to,
are in the
we have
targeted-
to, for Read to Succeed, we have to
And
deal
pull
with
them out maybe?
interventions anyway. That's part of the requirement. Also, best practices, there's something called response to intervention or multi-tiered systems of support. That's part of our strategic plan. So that is where we are constantly looking at individual students, knowing where they are, where they should be, are they making reasonable progress? And if not, making sure that we're putting things in place to support them during the school year, as well as into the summer program. So it certainly is not like we're just trying one intervention to help students succeed.
They make it almost impossible to try to serve these kids. Well,
You know, but we have an amazing team that keeps their eye on the students, and I really believe that, from the teachers, right up to the superintendent. We keep our eye on kids and learning, and we do the best we can with the resources that we get.
Okay. Do we have a motion then to approve the district strategic plan and renewal plan?
Mr. Chairman, to make a motion to approve the school strategic plan renewal and the school renewal plans.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Question? All in favor? Be unanimous. And then next, the YMCA facility funding. You gonna take that, or
Well,
can be?
yeah, Mr. Andrews came last meeting and brought the PowerPoint and asked and said that they were, trying to secure that loan, and is looking for some kind of formal commitment from the board about what we can do to help assist with that, and I think more the paying off of the loan after it's received and the facility is built.
Did he ask for a specific figure, or?
They have asked us.
They've mentioned to us. He didn't mention one at the last meeting.
That's what I was thinking, because
And I think what they have asked for is $3 million, and before everybody gets sticker shock, they've asked for that to be paid over 20 years, which would be $150,000 a year out of our capital money. Gloria did confirm with our bond attorneys that that would be legal. It is legal. There's at least one other school district in South Carolina that helped fund a pool through a different agency. I would not come to you with a recommendation that we build a pool, even though I would really like to see us teach our third graders or second graders or fourth graders, whatever the appropriate level is established. I would love to see us teach all of them how to swim, and I would love to have a high school swim team. We've had parents wanting swimming offered at the high school level for years. And I would love to be able to offer those things, not enough to outweigh my not wanting to own and operate a pool. So if another agency that has expertise in owning and operating a pool can bring one to our community and allow us to use it for those purposes, it will enhance the educational and extracurricular activities for our children. I can say that confidently. So I don't think the money would be going to waste, and it will offer swimming to our kids. And with the amount of water in our county, having third graders know how to swim is a good thing. And having swimming as an opportunity, as an extracurricular sport, we'll talk to Mr. Roberts, Mr. Garrett, Mr. Kreuzberger, and figure out how to make that happen. I don't know that having 3 teams is the answer. It might be that we have one team that has to compete as a 5A team because it would draw students from all 3, at least initially. But it would enhance the opportunities available to our students.
Well, I agree 100% with teaching the third graders, that would be every year.
It would be.
So
The elementary principals actually want it to be before third grade. They would like
What about
probably first.
the cost to use their facility for our third graders? Now, is it,
That would be something we could certainly negotiate, I think. They are going to have an operational cost because they have to pay lifeguards.
Well,
They
yeah,
have to
they've gotta
pay.
have lifeguards
So for us
there
just
and
to
all that.
expect that for free, but I'm sure if the school district did make such a sizable commitment to the capital part of things, I'm sure they would keep that in mind as we, considered the staff that they have to have. It probably wouldn't require much staffing on their part for a high school swim team, because we would have to hire a high school swim coach. And that person would be responsible for swimming practices and things. We would just have to, have a certain amount of time where the pool was reserved for our students.
But that hours for the swimming would be during the day, and we'd bus them out. would we not?
The elementary swim lessons, yes. The
It would be-
swim team will be after school.
It
Yeah.
would become part of the PE curriculum for elementary schools at
Right.
whatever
And
grade. we
whatever
establish.
grade we focused on, and every student coming up through that grade would get it.
I think that's a great idea to do.
And I've gone down with my wife to the Pendleton YMCA, and they're constantly using it. I mean, they got a warm pool and they got a cold pool, and there's people in it constantly. So I think it's gonna be a scheduling issue, if anything,
And then
which is
again,
still not a big problem.
the reason for specificity is that as they have to prove to the USDA that they can pay off this loan, and having it in the minutes with a specific dollar amount that the school district or the school board has approved for, helping to pay back that loan, will strengthen their financial position as they're trying to, prove to the USDA that, hey, we've got at least commitments to pay this money back.
You talk about an option if we wanted to and were able to pay it off in less than 20 years. I mean, because right now, our schedule's a lot more aggressive.
Yes,
Then
and I
that-
think that would be, you can say, you're in the driver's seat here. You can phrase it however you want to. I mean, if y'all agree to that amount, or you want to adjust that amount one way or the other, and I think you can state, we pay it off in 20 years or sooner if applicable, or, that kind of thing.
Well, there'll be future boards. I don't think any of us are gonna be here.
No, but if in doing the capital projects,
Me either, so.
if doing the capital projects, Mr. Hamby realizes that, hey, we got, premium on this bond sale this year, that we could do more than,
We ought to have that
150
right to do it.
I doubt they'd turn that down, because
There.
I'm sure they
Money's
would.
money.
I know they wouldn't care.
But we need
Because the
to,
quicker they could pay it off, the better it is for them.
the board would need to take some type of official action then to
Yeah.
confirm to the YMCA that we intend to support it.
Absolutely.
We just didn't know what the amount would be, what you all would consider. We've talked about anywhere from 2 to 3.
I don't have a problem with the 3. I mean, at that, rate, I think it'll take at least that to do it right, and we need to do it right if we're gonna do it. Not have to go back and, we gotta have so many lanes for swimming and
And of
all
course,
of that.
the hospital is probably, I don't know the dollar amount, but they're contributing a significant monetary contribution, and then they're also giving the land, which the land is quite valuable right there on the 123 campus.
And they'll also be using it for rehab, for heart rehab
Yeah,
and
for-
Parkinson's.
for us.
Things, kind of thing, yeah, that's where we'll be.
We'll be down
Still
there.
around.
I guess my question is,
I'll be in the lake.
it's awfully cold. Is there, because we'll basically be one of the anchor corporations for this,
For sure.
just like Oconee Focus wanted us to be an anchor.
For sure.
Is there a way that we could, because I don't think anybody's gonna understand the magnitude of the number of kids that are gonna, that we're gonna try to train in the kind of time. Is there a way that we can get them to start thinking about what kind of training program that they could provide the school district for, say, grades? You all just decide what grades they should be.
Training program.
Swimming, for swimming.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
certainly.
for swimming.
Oh, certainly.
Because I'm thinking, there's only 8 lanes, and there's only so many people, and
You're probably looking at 700 kids per year.
it's like a time
we
allocation that
get.
we could be almost promised for the X amount of.
Oh, we've had those discussions.
Oh, you have?
We have.
Yeah.
They're committed to allowing their facility to be used for our PE program for whatever grade level we establish. They understand that that's our interest. If you take that out of the picture, then
We don't have.
We're
we're
not
probably not gonna wanna
Not that
put that kind of
no.
money to support this
As long
project.
as they're aware of that, then I don't.
Oh, I don't, Mr. Hamby, wouldn't you agree? There's no question about that.
Right.
They
Yeah, they-
know that's our motivation.
Okay.
We need
And I
a
think, you
motion.
could even make that part of your,
Right, that's what I was thinking.
those payments will continue as long as.
Do we need to make a motion that we would commit to up to $3 million, but then later on have to approve all the details after you work them out? Or just to give you the right to go ahead and work all that out with them? I mean,
I think you could say a dollar amount
Over-
and equal
over-
installments over 20 years
or
or
some
sooner if the opportunity
allows the
Horizon.
sale, yeah. Anybody, y'all okay with that, or what do you think?
I'm good with it, but I'm also on the YMCA board. Do I need to abstain from
Probably.
voting?
Yeah. Probably so.
Is there anything we've overlooked? Let's put it this way, Denise.
Do you see?
No,
we-
they certainly understand that the reason we're doing this is so our school-age children can come.
Right, okay.
So that is the basis. And and again, because they're borrowing the money, it's just, if they have a funding stream to pay back those, I mean, that really does strengthen the payments. So they really need our commitment, now. And I just think it's a wonderful thing we can do for our children. But they are very committed to having swim lessons for whatever grade we determine.
And
And the other
opening it up
And
for
open it
swim
up for
teams
swim,
too.
right.
And we've talked about those two things, but there are other things. They've talked about a middle school after-school care program at the facility. It would give employment opportunities for our high school students. They're gonna have to hire lifeguards, and probably they're gonna be our students who serve as their lifeguards. And, there are multiple ways that it will benefit students and employees of the school district, so.
I have a question. I forgot, what was the total amount of the loan they're getting? Do you know, Denise?
7.5 million.
Was that it? I was thinking 7.
Yeah, it was fluctuating between 7 and 9.
I think he told us
So I
7.5.
think 7 is probably.
The last number he told us was 7.5.
Sure.
And a bank will do it up front, and then the FDA loan will pay that back, so the bank gets their money quick, and then this part goes into paying off the
USDA.
FDA. Yes, And we just have to know that we are gonna, that chart I fill out every year with our 8% money, there'll be a line item on there that says $150,000 to the YMCA.
Well, we do that sort of.
We do it
now,
with
but we do a
technology.
meal for technology or whatever.
Right.
and, whatever that amount is.
And then whatever the other things are. My question, I guess, too, is what fiscal year will it start? I mean, we talking about going back and refiguring what we're gonna do starting in July and including that then, or does it happen after the facility's built? That's the question I need to get answered. I don't remember, and I didn't ask that question, so.
Wouldn't it commence when the payback commences?
Yeah, I think he said
That would-
they were gonna get like a construction line.
Right, and through
then
that process,
borrow- Once
right.
they borrow
Right.
from the wherever, then we would start.
But
So,
no sooner than next February, next March, when we do next year's bond
Right.
sale. So the bond sale in 2018, that would be the soonest. I don't think we're talking about going back and committing to any funding that is in our rearview mirror.
Right.
I mean, that would be the soonest. It may be 2019, but either 2018, 2019.
Does that sound reasonable?
It
to What
does.
y'all talk?
Yes,
Okay.
it does.
Okay, do we have a motion to that effect, or we need to word it again?
I'm gonna try it.
All right,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we provide the YMCA with $3 million over a 20-year period, starting with the bond sale of 2018,
Or
or
later,
or later.
Okay.
How's that?
okay.
And we can pay it off earlier if we.
Oh, and if we can pay it off earlier, we would do so.
And this is for a swim facility.
For a swim facility.
Yeah, right, yeah, just wanna know what we do.
Oh, just a swimming pool?
Just full.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other questions, anything we need to adjust to that? All in favor? It is unanimous, so if y'all will work it out.
4-0.
4-0, yeah, we have.
Abstained.
Ms. McCormick needed to abstain since she's on the board.
Very excited.
Okay.
Okay. All right, now we'll move to the
fun
next
part.
item. We'll get all the fun in operations.
you were sorry?
You can, I mean, you've got with what we know,
No, I know.
again, this is based on the House version, with what we know from Columbia, and we go to County Council, walk across the street tomorrow to do a presentation at 6 o'clock. I'll send you guys that PowerPoint just so you can have it to look at. It's very similar to last year with some updated numbers and things, but, we're sort of taking what we have, rolling our employees up and looking at the numbers and looking at the preliminary figures that Ms. Moore has gotten from the state, and this is where we are. It's not pretty at this point.
So what's bottom line looking?
Well, that depends, because we've got a couple other options. I know that several districts around us are putting the pressure on us with the salaries and things by doing cost of living or things in addition to the step increases. Greenville, Pickens may do a 1%. They're going to decide tomorrow. I think they have a meeting sometime tomorrow morning to decide before tomorrow afternoon. A couple of the Anderson districts, 0.5% to 1%. We didn't check with Spartanburg and those because we don't usually compete with those for teachers. But with the information that Ms. Williams shares about the potential teacher shortage, we just want to make sure we're not.
I'd like very much for us to do 1%, if we can, above the step, at least.
And that's about $770,000 is what a 1% with matching and everything, the new numbers that the state has for us for retirement benefits and that. So for all our employees, if we did it across the board.
So this would be worst case, what we're showing? right now.
Now, that doesn't include a 1%.
It does not, it does not.
Okay, so
So we would be adding another $800,000 to that deficit.
So it'd
To
be
do that.
2.8.
But I would say, the Senate, we do have some projections from the Senate, and if their version were to prevail, we'd get another $699,000, round numbers. So I really believe this is the worst case. And so that would
and
almost,
our fund balance is, by policy, is supposed to be 20%, and we're
we're right at 20.
just a
20.1.
right now, so there's a little bit of money there, but this would have to come out of that fund balance, the deficit of entire budget. You're asking 95.8 million.
Right.
Well, and remember, when we go tomorrow, it's reassessment time. So, you know, we're sitting at 110.1 for operations, and, you know, reassessment, we've talked about it before, is supposed to be revenue neutral, but they can leave us at 110.1 or whatever if they declare it like a tax increase. And, you know, we have had brief conversation about that to see if that's something, because we feel like if it goes down, it's never going to go back up. And if you look at the numbers, this will be 5 years in a row that we've asked for the same. And what they told us was, the way you're going to increase your revenue and funding from us is to help us increase the value of a meal, or the value of everything in Oconee County. And with reassessment, that's hopefully what you're looking at. Now, do you drop us to 108.1 or whatever would come up with the number we need, or do you leave us at 110 is the question that we'll start asking tomorrow.
Steve, when was the last reassessment?
6 years ago, we asked for an extension, so it was 6 years ago.
So does that
So you usually go
fall
5
into-
years, and
Fall
then we-
into the time when everything was kind of nosediving?
It was.
It was.
They do expect reassessment to increase the value of a meal.
How much, we don't know, but they expect there to be some increase. You know, as we were talking today, if you stay at 110, you know, a $10,000 per meal increase is a little over $1 million for us. So, I mean, that, if we're left at 110.1.
Well, Steve, you mentioned it, and I think it was county council's words that said, you know, the way to increase our budget is to grow the value of the meal.
Right.
Well, if they don't maintain our millage as the value grows, then we'll never get there.
And reassessment, the purpose of it is to revalue property in today's dollars, not what people paid for their house, but what would it cost to rebuild that same house? Well, we're paying salaries in today's dollars, not
Not
dollars of
1973
yesteryear. So
dollars.
it does make some sense to keep a flat mill value and let the value of a mill, that should theoretically, any inflation that you see in the value of property should be kind of balanced with the inflation we see and what we have to pay our power bills, what we pay our employees, so I would prefer, even if we don't end up getting everything, I would still prefer to ask for what we need. And then if they can't do it, they can't do it. But it shouldn't be because we don't ask for it.
Yeah, I agree.
And we have to look at Act 388, says when you do a millage increase, it can't be but a certain percent per year, and I don't know if we can go back and recoup some years that we didn't ask for a millage increase or not. But, we need to be able to do that too.
I
And
think it's
those
3
would-
years. I think it
It
is.
is 3 years.
Those would
so
be things that the
we'd have to work out,
auditor would,
Yeah, an attorney should.
because it could put a limit on, depending on how much it increases.
but again, I'd rather ask for,
Well, we've done that in the
What's
past,
needed.
Michael,
and then if we're capped by that, we're capped by that, and we know we can't get it. But it shouldn't be because,
yeah, because we didn't ask.
yes.
I agree.
And it would help us, you know, we probably need to increase that to 1.4, what was it, 1.3 or 4 increase over this amount, put it up at like 3.3 million. So, because we're gonna lose money in our fund balance, and we're gonna drop below the 20%
Right.
if we don't have that. And if everything goes to schedule now, we
Well-
still don't know what the state's gonna do
Right.
and
If,
all this stuff.
if we included say 850 for the 1%, that would be for everybody. And then maybe $500,000 to increase, to put back into our fund balance.
To get it back up to the 20%.
So that would make us have a deficit of $3.4 million. And the total budget would be $97,165,379.
97,165,
$379.
that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
It is.
165, 379.
Okay.
Now, that's what those increases.
Any other questions, discussion? What we would like then is to get a motion to approve on, this is first reading, and we have to have 2 more readings, so we'll know more data as we go along. Of first reading of the budget for $97,165,379, and, do we need to specify anything about the millage or?
Well, we can't, no, it's my understanding, we take a dollar request over there.
We take a
and then-
dollar request. So if we take that amount, but knowing that that includes,
And what would happen
a
is
1% raise.
Ms. Moore in the expenditure side would include a 1% cost of living and a $500,000 line item for essentially fund balance replenishment.
And those would be separate line items, so that county council would see those. And then if we needed to change those later, we could do
And
that
if they don't
easily.
approve it, we'll have to go back, take them out.
Joe's got, we've talked about it, but he has it in hard copy, and I'm trying to read it off this iPad about some expenditures. We talked about it yesterday.
The spreadsheet that Gloria provided helped tremendously. And I was looking at, there's 5 pages to that, and I was looking at the FY17 budget and the FY18 proposal under supplies and materials on the instructional side. You might want to check your email that you just sent to me today. That's the
Oh,
form
I
was-
can't check
was-
it. I
right.
can't check it. But, so,
And what I was, I just wanted to make certain that those figures, some of the figures, like this year, under instruction for kindergarten programs, supplies and materials, it was budgeted for 46,000. We spent 36, but we're asking for 74 this year for 2018. And I guess that my concern was I just want to make certain those numbers are accurate. Was there, in some cases, it even drops down. On the operational side, they look pretty stable. But on the instructional side,
Low on the operational
What can I
side.
say?
in
I'll
other words,
check.
like,
I will check my numbers.
if you would, I just want to make certain you check your numbers, and I have some scribble if you want me to give that to you and let you kind of compare.
Sure.
I just want to make certain that these numbers are accurate because the percentages increased for 2018, even though the expenditure this year to date wasn't near that amount. And then
Okay.
I was going to say that some quick calculations I came up with, we could pay the first year of $180,000. I had kind of deducted. I'll give that information to you and let you look at it, make certain my figures are correct.
And we can adjust that on
Supply,
second
and you can
reading,
adjust
too.
that later on. I just wanted to make certain this is the first
But that's why
time
we
through
want to
this
look
budget
at
for
that,
me,
so
and
we
I
have-
apologize if I,
We're not
No.
adding any 4K classes or kindergarten classes.
Not what?
We're not adding any this coming year right now.
Not unless somebody's kindergarten number goes up. You know, we always look at those, but we do it on a 4-year average. When I allocate them out, I just do their 4-year average, so, I remember we've had to once or twice, but we don't have a plan right now to add any, either in 4K or,
I was just wondering.
Yeah, we're looking to see what those 4K numbers are. Screening's going on, so we may apply for some, but that won't come out of general fund. That would be CDAP money if we were in need of those classes.
Also, Gloria, along the same lines that Joe was talking, if you look at supplies and materials under administration is just one example, it has fluctuated greatly. Oh, and I know there's nothing we can go back and do for FY15, but the budget was 168, we spent 213. The next year it was 135, we spent 200. 17 budgets, 91,000, we've already spent 152. I just wonder why there's so much fluctuation, and it seems to be
move it out of one account.
all in supplies and materials, or in that different line
Well,
item.
that's the most common
Yeah, oh, yeah.
category, for
Yeah,
one thing.
yeah.
And depending on how you group the accounts,
Yeah,
each school, as long as they keep their budget in the, not in the red,
yeah.
we allow them to overspend in a category. So they
And-
could overspend in their
In that category
supplies
and
and make
understand
up
in
for it
another,
in
so
another
they,
one.
basically they're transferring money.
And that is, it's important to know, that is school expenditures.
Yeah,
Well, admin is not, it includes,
Up here, this office.
yeah, that
Okay.
includes the superintendent,
But when
principals, yes.
we do our allocations for schools on a per student basis, so that all the schools are getting an equivalent allocation. Then if one school in particular wants to buy computers one year, and they can scrimp on their library funds, they could transfer money from their library funds to an administrative account to buy or some other account to buy computers for whatever they want to do. So there is some flexibility, as long as their bottom line is not
yeah.
different.
here's another one, like the high school programs, supplies and materials. It was $111,000 this year, we spent 73.
Yeah, there's
They're
something.
asking for 23,000 this,
Yeah, and
and
that's not,
that shouldn't be.
No. no, you're right. I'll look at it.
Look at some
Just
of
look
the-
at it because my figures could all be wrong, but, thank
Yeah,
you.
we don't need to just, if it was in there this year, put it back in there next
No,
year.
those are
No, we
all-
don't wanna do that.
Those are all based on a student allocation,
Yeah.
correct?
Right.
I just want to make certain.
Yeah, and we,
And more-
That
most likely
student-
it's-
That student allocation, for
It's-
years, they've been able to move it from one
Oh,
category
yeah, I'm
to
not
another.
opposed to that
But
at
it's
all.
still
You should
the-
have that.
I think
what-
what's happened is.
Creates that initial dollar value is a per student allocation.
Yes,
Each school gets so
absolutely.
much for copier expenditures based on the number of students they have. Each school gets so much for their school library based on the number of students they have, and so on. So that's not a situation where we say, oh, well, you spent this much last year, we'll give you this much this year. It's not based on that.
But
It's
some of
based on
that
a-
could have come from another account that they were very much underspent. So-
Exactly, exactly.
And that makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay.
So did we vote?
No, they have not.
Right. Anything else? So we have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move
We don't
the
have a motion.
FY18 budget be approved on first reading.
I second it.
And is that with,
That's the 97.
with the additional?
97,
97,000 to 165, no, 97 million,
million,
165,
181.
It's what's presented plus a 1% and a $500,000.
1% raise and a 500,000 reimbursement to the fund balance.
That includes that. So we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. We have any other discussion? The motion then is to approve on first reading. We gotta do 3 readings. 97,165,379. All in favor? It'll be unanimous. And first reading, anything else? Yeah.
Can I just ask Gloria can we have this format, I love this spreadsheet.
Sure.
I like that, so if you
Very
could
good.
just keep
I
giving
will.
us that,
I will.
I can understand that.
Okay. I will update it after I check those numbers and send it to you again.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks. All right, next on the agenda then is executive session. Ms. Williams went to an executive session for personnel items, employment recommendations, and changes.
Mr. Chairman, I move we go into executive session for employment recommendations and changes, personnel items.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? It's unanimous.
I used to have a question.